Sixx Sense with Nikki Sixx.
It's Nikki Sixx. I'm with Jen. Randy Blythe, my friend, singer, author, Lamb of God. Many other projects we're going to talk about is hanging out. And later going to go to my house and hang out at my house. So we're going to have a good day together.
Oh, my God. I love that you sold that you're going to your house.
Yeah, we're going to the house.
He's also
later.
my friend at my house.
Yeah, because I don't have a lot of friends.
I don't either.
How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. I just took an Uber from Santa Ana. I was recording with a friend of mine.
How much was that Uber?
It was $68, and the driver, Joe, shout out. He listens to the Sixx Sense show.
He does?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He's like, tell Nikki I said hello, man.
Oh, hey, man. What's up, Joe?
Joe.
It was great, though, because he texted me an hour ago. He goes, man, I'm on my way in an Uber. I was going, oh, that's going to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not that bad.
Not bad. Taxi would be worse. So what's going on? Tell me why you're in Los Angeles.
I'm recording with my guitar player, Mark. He's doing some stuff, with a bunch of different people that are not in Lamb of God.
Yeah.
And he asked me if I would come out and do a little
it's cool.
screeching for him.
Yeah, you support each other doing stuff like that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he's my homie, so.
That's awesome.
And I got to come, and I'm here to hang out with you and go to your house.
Yeah. Well, my wife's going to cook. That's how I said, do you want to come to my house? He said, I don't know, maybe. And I said, I have film for a camera. And he said, well,
dangle
okay.
that carrot.
And I said, my wife's going to cook. And then he's like, okay.
All right.
And then what? Are you taking an Uber from where he lives to Santa Ana?
No, I'm going back to the East Coast.
From Nikki's house?
Yes.
He's going to go to the airport.
Directly, via Uber.
Wouldn't that be a trip?
Yeah, dude. I mean.
Just like say, hey, dude, I'm going to the East Coast.
Yeah.
And just like document the whole thing.
Let's do this.
Your life with Joe.
My life with Joe. Joe was a cool guy, man. I learned all about his family business. He used to be a radiologist, and now, like, due to the how horrible insurance in general is, insurance companies, like that job has shrunk.
Yeah.
So that people have to be multitasking. They have to do CAT scans, X-rays, all that stuff. All this stuff. We talk for hour and 15 minutes all the way here. He's got family in Ireland.
Well, we talk, me and Randy talk about, photography a lot and how kind of everything is a photo to us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get a chance to talk to people, you're like, it's like in your brain. It's like little pictures, right?
Yeah,
stories.
Absolutely, man.
Joe might end up in a lyric.
You never know.
Never know.
He's going to be thrilled when he hears it.
Nikki was my favorite photographer. And then
until you met me.
Well, no, and then
you better say this right.
He said, have you ever seen Randy's stuff? And I said, no, because I like the way he shoots. I love the downtown stuff. And then I saw yours, and I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm cheating on him.
No,
why?
I think there's he and I have some similarities.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even in stylistically in the way that shoot, I think that comes from some similarities in our backgrounds, maybe.
Yeah.
In the way we kind of view the world.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I like the way that you do different. You do more color than he does.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Randy's stuff's a little more. I don't know. There's even though it's like telling the story, there's a softness to it.
Mm-hmm.
My stuff feels a little, I don't know, like
gritty.
I'm a little grittier.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. And that a lot of that's in either the film or the processing too.
Yeah.
You sent me a photo the other day. That was amazing.
Yeah.
It was hard and soft at the same time. It's like that's a framer.
Yeah. Oh, the one I sent you with a shot with the Noctilux?
Yeah.
With your lens.
Yeah.
Which I brought with me.
Yeah. But the photographers do stuff like you loan each other cameras, lenses.
Did you mail it to him?
I mailed it to him.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
A while ago, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I brought it back out in an Uber.
Yeah. That's why I'm here.
One of my favorites of yours is the one of the car on the dirt road. It was recent.
Right. That's my buddy Rob Finn's car. He's from Utah. That's his car, Maryland. And that was a cross-country road. Not cross-country, but we did the entirety of Route 66.
Tell me about that, because like I just got done saying to her I wanted to do like a Kerouac thing and like drive from East Coast to West Coast with just a camera.
Right. Well, Rob had this idea that he wanted to make a movie, basically, because he has a cool car, right? Basically circling around maybe him getting laid in his car. He's like, I want to make this cool movie with my 63 Thunderbird and I get laid in the car. And I'm like, well, that's cool, but that's not really a movie. That's
just a Saturday night.
Saturday night,
Or backstage at one of our shows.
Exactly. He's like, so he and I'm like, we got to find a story. So we went on basically, because he's a photographer too. It's my buddy Rob Finn. He shoots for Rob Zombie.
Yeah, he's a great photographer.
Yeah, you've seen his stuff. So, like, we took his car. I met him in Chicago. He had his car towed out to Chicago, and I met him, and we went from the very beginning of Route 66, which is not far from Navy Pier. Right there on that, what's the main road on Chicago that runs in front of the lake? Is it Michigan?
I can't remember.
I think it's Michigan. But it's right by Navy Pier, close to there. And we drove all of old Route 66 from there all the way to the Santa Monica Pier where it ends.
My mom lives on Route 66.
She does.
She does. Isn't that cool?
It was really cool because, like, we had an app with, like, all these pins on it. It's a Route 66 app, and we had a couple of books, but the app would take you by GPS on your phone directly to, like, here's this, like, in Texiola, it's the border of Texas and Oklahoma, I guess. There's a one-room jail that was there back when it was the Old West. And
so you see all this stuff, so you're not just like driving through and to go, well, that was cool.
No.
You can actually pull off and
so
take
we pulled
photos
off
or whatever.
And it's not the modern interstate system that we have now, like, on the East Coast, 95 and 64. I can't even remember how far that goes out here, and 40 and 10 and all that stuff. A lot of that stuff just cut through Route 66 because that was the modern interstate system. So a lot of the small towns back in the day, you'd love this trip, dude, because there's so much cool stuff. A lot of the small towns back in the day, their lifeline basically got cut off when the interstate system came through and destroyed most of old Route 66. So there are these pockets of America where people still live, that were once thriving places because everybody traveled Route 66.
Right.
That
you
now,
could build businesses around it. And it would be destinations for people.
Exactly. And now these communities, a lot of them are half abandoned. The people that are there are just, struggling to get by. And there's a tourist aspect to some of them where people like me and Rob come through and check stuff out. But a lot of the places are pretty hard up economically. So we went through there and just took the whole road the whole way and shot photos the whole way with our Leicas, Such a neat trip. Took us 2 weeks.
How long did it take you?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And we...
Do you bring food? You bring water?
Where
did you sleep?
We brought water. We Motel 6.
Yeah.
Because we had a dog with us, and they don't charge, and you can bring a dog with
right.
us. So he had his dog Bella.
Many times at a Motel 6 on the road.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't get scabies or bed bugs or get shot by the local drug dealers.
Shout out to Motel 6.
But it was really cool, man.
What did you guys listen to in the car?
What did we listen to?
Feels like you'd be listening to some appropriate Dylan or something.
I listened to a lot of like outlaw country.
Yeah, Willie Nelson.
Willie, Merle, some Johnny Cash.
I love it.
What else were we listening to? Not a lot of metal or like stuff like that. Just kind of cool old school stuff.
I like it when metal guys say that. They not a lot of metal. Then he made this face.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like I do it too. It's like I'm not listening to metal.
Well, people think that because of what we do, we're like constantly in this mental, especially singers, I think. They think I'm in this constant state of screaming rage. Like I'm just getting ready to burst forth. And,
Standing on Route 66. Like head banging as people
Ordering
walk
at
by.
McDonald's, like,
Yeah.
I said a cheeseburger.
Exactly. No,
Yeah.
I'm chilling, That's what I like to do. People, like with my book, people are like, at first it was hard for me to read it because I kept on reading it in your singing voice. I'm like, why would you do that?
Reading it in your singing voice. We should pull his book out and have him read some of it in his singing voice.
Oh, God, no, please. My throat is fried. Thank you, Mark Martin.
I know you've probably talked about your book to death, but you haven't talked that much with us about it. And as far as any follow-up books, what's it been like since you went through the process of writing the book, you published it, you've had a lot of people come back to you and talk to you. What's it like right now where you're at from sitting in jail to right now?
What's it like? Well, it's a lot more spacious in here than it was in jail. I mean, I got out of prison and immediately went on tour because I had 5 lawyers and that just hemorrhaging money, like crazy. Then I went back. I was home for 6 months.
What was that like going from jail to road to home?
Well,
was that when you began to really process it all?
Well, I went from jail to home to 10 days later being at Knotfest to home for a month or two, then out on tour with Lamb of God, then back to the Czech Republic to go to trial, found not guilty, then come home, then finish up the rest of our tour, and finally end in like South Africa. And then we took a little time off, but there were some changes in the organization and they started writing another record and we need to make money. So like it was back in the studio and then it was back on tour again for this last record. And that cycle is not going to end until August or September of this year, I guess,
right.
So it's just been like grinding. When I'm not on the road, I'm working on writing, and photography. So
but these are all things that I know make you happy.
They are things that make me happy, but it's at a point now where it's like, at the end of this tour cycle, it's going to be like, boom, it's time to take a break for real. And concentrate more on writing and being at home with the family. I mean, I don't have to tell you, how long was the last Motley Crue tour that lasted? Like,
it was 2 years, and combining everything, working
up to
rehearsals up to it, which people don't really realize that can be 6 months right there. And the 6 a.m. tour, it was 3 years.
Yeah. So you're like,
I came back
shattered.
Yeah.
Shattered.
Yeah.
Man.
Physically and
mentally.
Not so much emotionally, but mentally just, needed some space.
Yeah. That's what it's time for me now at the end of this. Cause like, we got off after I got done with the whole prison thing and then finishing that tour, we got off the road and then we started writing a new record. And then we recorded that record and we didn't tell anyone that we were recording. Nobody knew, they thought we were just chilling at home. And then we go on tour before the record even comes out. We're mixing the record on tour. And then all of a sudden the record comes out. People are like, whoa, where did the record come from? You guys just, and it's like, well, we've been working the whole time, and it hasn't stopped. So for me, and during I guess I wrote, I tried to write my book, the last book on tour while we were still touring. I could only really get 4 chapters done. I'm not a writing on the road kind of guy. I got to be at home. I guess I wrote the book in about 6 months total, and that was just constant working.
Yeah.
So
and that's going back and rewriting
and just, I never even really had a time to do much of a second or third draft because time was so short, my book contract called for 80 to 100,000 words, and I think I turned in 240 some
Oh my
odd thousand words.
God.
And all of it, none of it was bad writing. I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn. None of it was bad writing, and none of it did not serve the story, but there's just too much of it. You know, the book is like 500 pages as it is almost. So my editor's like, we need to do some amputation.
How's that feel? Because I've experienced
like
that.
ripping my soul out.
Yeah. I'm like, well, that actually really explains what happened next. And they're like, something's got to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I mean, I would like to think that I you know, follow in the manly, tense style of Hemingway with lots of brevity and economy of phrase. But no, I'm much more long-winded. I'm more like... One of my favorite authors who died last year was this guy, Pat Conroy. He wrote, you know, some Southern literature, but he's really writes long. And I kind of, it's hard for me to say exactly what I mean in short. Something I need to work on. So like during the editing.
You got to work on that.
Yeah.
Gotta zip it up.
Well, you've had work with songs.
Yeah.
That really is like, you have no choice. You got 3 minutes or something. So if you're lucky, you get 4.
Yeah. During the amputation process though, is like, it's just like, oh God, like, you know, my editor, to his credit, he actually, I'm like, dude, can we not do this digitally? Can you send me an actual print out of the manuscript with like red pencil on it? And people don't really work that way anymore. You know, it's all digital. And, he's like, sure, that's great. I haven't done that since the 90s. And he sent me back this big manuscript, and there's just pages and pages with like an X through it, right?
Well, that's how I did mine. I can't imagine getting it with it just gone. I'm supposed to read it with it just gone.
It's just an X through it, and I'm looking at this, and I'm like...
I hate that because it's like in chunks.
Yeah.
It's like, let's just take that chorus and cut it in half. And you're like, wait, the first half, I was like letting it happen with my voice, and the second half, I'm like, you know, peeking out.
Yeah, well, I looked at it and these things, and I saw where it made the book flow better. But I'm like, that literally looking at this 20 pages in front of me with an X through it, that was 2 weeks of my life. That's 8 hours.
I say you release that book with those pages with the X through them and just release that.
Well, there's one particular part that was, I knew it was going to make the book, right? Because when I was in prison one day, there was this cat in the prison courtyard, and he used to come by. And I was like, oh, a cat, or an organic being that's not a prisoner or a guard, you know? And I would look at this little cat, and he was so cute, you know? And it reminded me of my cat back at home, Henry, R.I.P. Henry. He's no longer with us, but I wound up writing this thing.
It was a moment where Randy forgot.
I wound up writing this 5 or 10,000 word section about me taking Henry to PetSmart to get him shaved because he was old and gotten dreadlocks. And it's a hilarious story about getting the cat shaved because he just went berserk, you know? But it's like once I started writing it, I was like, oh, this isn't going to make this book, but I couldn't stop.
Right.
You know? And my editor sent it back. He's like, that's great. We should sell that to a pet magazine or whatever. So save it, you know?
Yeah.
So there's massive chunks of the book that are still there.
So now you're working on another one.
Yes. What's going to happen?
Can you kind of give us a little bit of a screenshot, the overview?
Yeah. So in rough, what's going to happen is I'm going to go home from Los Angeles tomorrow, and then sometime within the next week and a half or so, I'm going to load up my car, and I'm going to drive down the East Coast, and I'm going to surf everywhere possible, starting in Virginia, going to Florida, right? And the next book, my last book, the book was about personal accountability. The story, the vehicle that I used to make that point was me going to prison and going to trial and coming out, right? That was just the vehicle. But the theme of it was personal accountability. The theme of my next book is going to be about perspective, because I think, you know, today it's such a like a almost binary world. things are either A or B in people's belief systems. If people can change their perspective a little bit, maybe, and try and see other sides of things, maybe there wouldn't be so much static. So the book for me, I'm very interested in perspective. 3 things that have changed my perspective in life for the better, I believe, are travel, because instead of thinking of, people in Turkey or Japan or Russia or whatever as these nebulous sort of cartoon characters, that you only know from the media, you actually go and meet these people. And this, from traveling. That's changed my perspective for the better. It's broadened my perspective. And I realize that we're lucky because we get to travel and play rock and roll. We can afford to do this. Not everybody can.
Japan is...
blow your mind.
Blows your mind. And when you get in and get to know the people, it just blows your mind again.
Yeah.
It just keeps going and going, but you have to go there to experience that.
You have to.
And you can't go to a tourist thing to do that. You got to be with people.
You got to go and meet the people, know. That's why I don't understand resorts. Like in foreign countries, people go and you're like, you aren't meeting anyone. You're just hanging out. You might as well be back in New Jersey or wherever you're from, But anyway, travel has changed my perspective. Surfing has given me a different perspective on things. I grew up skateboarding my whole life, and I'm 46 now, and I learned to surf when I was, I think, golly, how old was I? 43. I've only been surfing about 3 years, but it's really changed my perspective in that time.
Tell me how.
Well, I think surfing is very meditative. You hear a lot of people talk about this. They're like, soul surfer, kind of the stereotypical California image of some hippied out dude, mellow surfer guy, kind of like the dude from The Big Lebowski. Not like the more aggro dudes at Huntington Beach who are like locals only, shred, but more the hippie type. There's this kind of mystical vibe to it, I guess. For me, it's, I guess, more along those lines. Surfing forces you, it's meditative because you have to be in the moment because the environment. In skateboarding, it's true to a degree, but the environment is static, right? When I go out front here and ride a skateboard and there's this curb, that curb's going to be the same every time I approach it. So if I approach it to do a front side slappy grind and I don't get it right the first time, I can change my approach. The curb is static. It's going to remain the same. Every wave is different. So you can't think about how you're really going to approach it once you're in it. It forces you to just be in that moment. You know what I mean? It's like you hear that about meditation and so forth. Return to now, be in the moment. Surfing really is the physical embodiment of that for me in an active way.
Is there a bit of letting go?
Absolutely. Yeah. And if something has been bothering me in my life, once I'm out in the water, I can almost always leave it at home, leave it on the shore. You hear that a lot. So surfing has kind of changed the way I kind of view the way I need to treat individual moments, if at all possible.
So you go out there, refocus, come back, and you see things different.
Yes, absolutely.
And through these 2 things, I know there's another one.
And there's another thing. Yeah. Travel, surfing has changed my perspective for the better. And the third thing is something that you very much relate to as well. It's photography. Because I picked up a camera when I was about a year sober, as you and I talked the other day. Yep. I interviewed you for a magazine I do called Unbuilt. It's everything we look at now. Everywhere I look, since I've been in here, I've been framing. Everything is a picture. Yeah. And I think with photography, it really, we were talking about this when I interviewed you, the act of taking a photograph and really shooting with intent, being in the moment, you have to make adjustments to this thing called the exposure triangle, right? I don't know if that's too obtuse to really mention.
I mean, I've talked about, I think the people that listen to do photography understand that. And, it's not that hard of a thing to understand, but probably not a good time to explain it.
Right. Right. Basically, the actions, what I'm saying is that, like, I think in shooting,
It's not autofocus.
it's not autofocus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
dummy
auto
mode.
anything.
Yeah, there's nothing auto about it.
Which is nothing wrong with that, by the way.
Right.
You know, I have a camera, this one right here, this Leica, that I use a lot in auto because
Yeah,
I
sure.
like to just capture stuff.
Yeah, but when you're shooting in manual, the way you adjust everything within the exposure triangle, the way you sort of frame and make sure the camera is doing what you want it to do, really determines the way you're interacting with the world in that moment. Absolutely, 100%. Because in that moment, you're in the act of taking a photograph. So,
Let me ask, do you shoot with left eye or right eye?
shoot.
'Cause I shoot with my left eye, which is the wrong way. You're supposed to shoot with your right eye and be able to be aware.
Oh yeah. No, I shoot with my right eye, and you're supposed to supposed to.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull out my
You're
Leica.
also supposed to. Oh, that was a shutter sound, by the way. Sweet Leica shutter sound.
Yeah.
You're also supposed to keep both eyes open. I think that's what I've heard in order.
Yeah.
But I normally shut my left eye while I shoot with my right eye.
Yeah.
You know?
I do it wrong, but
There is
Can't
no
really-
wrong.
can't really untrain myself.
But this next book will be about surfing, travel, and
Yeah.
photography all together, and it will convey the theme of changing perspective somehow.
Yeah.
So when I get back, I'm going to take a road trip down the East Coast, and I mean, my agent and my publishing company are, they're ready to give me a contract for another book because the last one was a bestseller and they like selling books.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, give us a proposal. I'm like, I want to do it correctly. So I know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's basically what's going to happen. And basically I was convinced to it because like my literary agent is like, you need to write another book, and I'm like, well, I have some fiction stuff. It's like, you should write another nonfiction book first. It'll be your second one, and you get, novels, fiction, you have to sell on spec. You have to write first, and then they try and sell it. Nonfiction, they give you in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh God, another nonfiction book. I can't write about anything like depressing because the last one almost killed me, I mean, you know what it's like. You're writing about the worst times of your lives.
It's so you feel that your new book will not have a tie back to anything dark or depressing? You think you'd like jump off it kind of in a positive?
It will definitely be positive, but I can't say that there won't be anything depressing in it because that's not reality.
I can't seem to write unless there is a tentacle or a ligament that goes back to the trigger, which is usually, to get perspective, I need to explain how I didn't have perspective, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
It's always this kind of, it feels typical to me, but that is anything I write. It's like, was having a bad day. Now I'm having a bad day because, simplified.
Right. No, I think that's important to recognize that.
I would like to be able to cut that.
We're the sum of our experiences.
Start in the middle of the story, which would be open, and then take it beyond that.
Right. Well, we're the sum of our experiences, our past ones, current, and future. And I think it's kind of disingenuous to ignore the past.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's going to be like, oh, peace, hippie, I'm surfing and taking pictures type dude. I mean, like, I'm going to go to Indonesia, right? I think I have a hook up there to go live with some. It's not all just going to be surfing. I have a hook up there to go live with a primitive tribe in the jungle for a while there,
Come on.
So
you take me with you?
yeah, I'm going to go surf.
Jen
Are
wants
you
to go.
kidding me right now?
No, I'll show you a picture.
Oh, good.
I'll show you a picture of these.
of what I'll never
Of
see.
his new family.
These people's houses. This guy who made this ring and this bracelet
And
has
they make
this
jewelry.
killer sort of workshop in the jungle where he makes this jewelry. One of the dudes from Death Angel has this ring. I think Metallica has one of these, but he knows these tribesmen that live in the jungle, and he sent me pictures of their house. It looks like the Ewok village, right?
Oh my God.
That's incredible.
He's like, do you want to go stay with some primitive tribes for a
Yeah.
while? And I'm like, yes. He's like, come on, pack a backpack. Let's go. So, I'm going to go surf.
I always loved that about Randy. When we were in Germany together, it's just a backpack. Let's go.
Let's go. Gotta go, man.
Yeah, what did you say? You don't take you don't take more than what fits in a backpack usually?
Yeah, if at all possible, man. If at all possible. I used to overpack like crazy.
Yeah, I still overpack.
I was going to say this one.
I did a one-off.
do.
I did a one-off show with Sixx a.m. a little while ago, and I showed up at the airport. I had a backpack, had a guitar, and a little tiny suitcase.
Right.
And they went to pick up the suitcase, and they went, there's nothing in here. This is so un-you. But I still had a guitar, a suitcase, and a backpack for one day.
Right.
I don't know what it is. I don't know how to do that.
I stopped myself from bringing a roller bag with me. Like, I brought a reusable bag with me. Like, I have my backpack over there, a GoRuck GR1, greatest knapsack ever.
It was with Randy. Randy
Shout
always
out.
tells you the product, because
Yes.
I had to go Google it, and I'm like,
GoRuck is seriously,
You know,
people are
it is.
freaks about these backpacks because they're awesome, right? So, like, I could have just carried that, but I have the box that your lens came in. So, 'cause
It's
that
all
was
your
mailed to
fault.
me.
that box, the box needs a roller.
Yeah, so I brought that. I put that in a grocery bag to protect it, and then I put that in a reusable bag,
Right.
which I carry with me, which will now go into the backpack once I give you the lens back. And then all I have is my own a bag for the
Yeah.
So, but everything I try to keep it compact.
Do you have a name yet for the book?
Yeah, I was kicking around a working title, Just Beyond the Light, because there's this. I read, I can't remember where I read it. It was talking about man's sort of, since primitive times, man's imagination and fear of darkness, what is just beyond the campfire light, right? And for me, that kind of is, there's nothing wrong with stability and being a normal person and doing a normal job or whatever. That's just not for me. I have to kind of step beyond the normal boundaries of things for me to find an experience really impactful enough.
That's why you pick up surfing in your 40s, or you pick up a camera. You will always, knowing you will always pick up something, because it's just beyond the light.
Yeah, man.
Always be having these experiences, and that's really the way to live. Someone said to me a while ago, they said, well, like, you've done all this stuff, so like now you could just like enjoy. And I go,
No.
what do you mean?
Can you imagine retirement?
No, I would
No.
never be able to.
I
Like,
had this fear.
always want to be something.
Yeah, I had this like realization a little while ago, and I was like, I'm never ever going to retire.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna.
You might retire from something.
Oh yeah, I mean,
might
I'm
say,
not.
you
I'm
know,
not
I'm-
going to be a touring musician forever. No way. I won't be able to take it. But like, I'm never going to be like, just say I am retired. What do you do? Oh, I'm retired.
Yeah. I like to make jokes about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I could never do it. You will always, and I think anybody that really loves photography will always be a photographer.
Oh yeah, I think
You'll always
so.
be a photographer. And you can never actually really get it right. Just not possible. It's like trying to grab something that's not there. You might almost get it right, and you might figure out your camera, and you might figure out light and using flash or natural light, but there's something unattainable that keeps me on edge. Just on edge. Sometimes I just carry my camera and I'm just walking and I'm just like, where is it? Like it's going to appear. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And it just makes me this feeling of being like a kid. It's like something's around that corner. Something's going to happen. It might be the clouds might open up. I don't know. The wind might start, or someone may be sitting on the corner with this face that you just have to capture. And it's really, it's about the wait.
Yeah.
It's a lot of waiting.
If you don't have your camera, that moment is guaranteed to appear in front of you. Guaranteed.
My wife laughs because I take the camera to the bedroom, right? Not for the obvious reasons.
Not for the fun.
Yeah, not for that. And the other day I didn't take it back. I don't know why. You should bring my backpack back there. I got my camera in there and other stuff. And I have some construction going outside. And these guys were grinding on this stone. Two guys. One guy was down low and one guy was up high. And the amount of dust coming off the stone that was coming up and the wind was hitting it. And they were inside this dust storm. It was amazing. Hard-looking labor workers. And by the time I got to my camera, I missed it.
Oof.
And then you have these thoughts too sometimes as a photographer, like, I don't want to invade on their space or something. I went out and I was talking to the guys. I go, hey man, I saw you guys a little while ago, and I wanted to take a picture, and it's amazing. People almost always say this: you should have taken the picture.
Should have taken that picture. Yeah.
You should have taken that picture. I love Instagram. I have fun with it. I have my serious one. I have my fun one.
You've taught me how to turn off comments,
Great.
which I'm very close to doing.
Yeah. I go back and forth.
Because the vast majority of the people on my Instagram are awesome. And
Do you know how to block?
Huh?
Do you know how to block?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But there's always a turd in the punch bowl. And like, I am not of the opinion. There's a few different opinions, I think, in this social media era. Some people are like, don't block people, that gives them power. And I'm like, no, because
I don't want to hear their shit.
You know what? This is my
It's your house.
My house.
I just go with anything you'll say to me on social media that you would say in my face. I don't want people to be like, you're hot, I'd want to fuck you, you're the greatest. That doesn't do anything for me. I like when somebody actually looks at someone and says something interesting.
Yes.
I enjoy the conversation.
And that's why in mine, I try and maintain a level of civility on my Instagram page. When people are just jerks, I don't allow them to be jerks to other people, not just me, but to other people. I'm like, screw you, not here. We're going to act like adults.
Yeah.
Adults.
Professor Blythe.
But it gets old sometimes having to block these people. So I'm like, you know what? I'm getting ready to just put it up here. And if you like it, cool.
We got some questions here from Facebook for you, Randy.
Yes.
Zach Shaw wrote in, said, how the hell are you able to consistently scream and guttural at the range? Guttural?
Guttural is a word, yes.
At the range you do. It's just completely impressive and mind-boggling to me. Do you use vocal therapy or even need it? Regardless, all of us metalheads can agree that you are naturally gifted and we're meant to be a frontman.
I think this is not to sound cocky at all, because I can't take any credit for this, but yes, my throat for some reason was built to do this. Some people I know have had more problems with their voice blowing out because it's tough. Mine tends to remain strong, and that's through no real doing of my own. I do a vocal warm-up that was taught to me by a woman named Melissa Cross, and I try not to talk too much when I wake up in the morning when I'm on tour and stuff.
It's going to be hard for Randy.
Yeah, I love to talk. Well, you aren't there. I'm not like I'm there talking to you. I mean, what am I going to do? Look at my bass player and say, how's your phone? How's Facebook today, dude?
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, but no, that's I got lucky with that. But as far as being a front man, I think being a front man, the most necessary component of being a front man is the willingness to get up there and make a complete imbecile of yourself long enough until people, for some foolish reason, start to believe that you look cool while you do. It's a willingness to make an idiot of yourself in front of other people. That's a necessary component of a front man's personality. So I definitely have that.
We're talking to Randy Blythe from Lamb of God, Anthony somebody.
Bourdain?
I wish. Prestiani
Christian.
He wrote in, he said, what's your favorite part of the Lamb of God show that makes you feel like your band is a well-oiled machine?
When I walk off of it and race to the shower and get in there. No, I don't know.
How long does it take you guys? Usually with me, it takes about a week till I feel well-oiled, after rehearsals.
Oh, you mean when we're on tour?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. About a week's worth of performance, I would think.
No matter how much you rehearse, it's a week on the road.
Yeah, you got to get out there on the road. You got to get in that vibe. And, particularly if you haven't been on the road for a while, you got to knock the rust off. I mean, I'm not trying to ruin ticket sales for anybody or any band here, but I'm going to tell you a little industry secret. Like, if you have a choice, don't go see the first show of a tour.
I get these emails, dude, I'm coming to the first show. No. And then they come back there, what a great show. I'm like, no.
Mm-mm.
No.
You got to get out there and shake the rust off.
And don't do the last show either.
Yeah,
because the band is burnt out.
You're burnt. You're just crispy.
crippling off.
It's $0.06. We're talking to Randy Blythe from Lamb of God. Sammy Stiles wrote in and said, where's the best place to surf?
Where is the best place to surf?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, I guess that really depends. That depends on what kind of surf you're looking for, your skill level, and what time of the year it is.
What about the most beautiful place?
What's the most beautiful place I've ever surfed? Oh, probably most beautiful place I've ever surfed has probably been Phillip Island, Australia. It's a sea island south of Australia. There's a place called Magic Lands there. There's a few different spots there. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous place. I have a friend who is a zoologist who works with penguins. And so...
Is there anybody you don't know?
Yeah, quite a few. A lot of people I don't want to know, too. I have a friend who's a zoologist who works with the world's smallest penguins. There's a colony of penguins on Phillip Island called the Little Penguins.
Are you kidding?
No. So I'm not kidding. So I got to go out with her and hold penguins and measure them and like check their data chips and stuff during breeding season. Her and her man, Sam, are good friends of mine. So while I was there last time, I normally go there when I'm in Australia when I can. I went surfing with Sam one day. I spent my first month of sobriety there too in Australia.
Nice.
A lot of it on Phillip
Let it all
Island.
go there.
Huh?
Let it all go there.
Yeah, might as well. In a country, every corner is held down by a pub.
Right.
If you can quit drinking there, man, it's all good. You can make it anywhere.
James Evans wrote in and said, are you excited about the tour this summer?
I can't wait.
I'm so excited.
I can't wait. It's but the way. I did an interview with Rolling Stone the other day, and they were asking me for some sort of
the quote.
Yeah, hey, are you ready for this? And it's
Would it be great if someone goes, actually not?
No, I'm not.
I have said that before.
Great.
People fans they'll ask me, hey, when they see me, I just got off the bus in the morning and I normally lurk over to wherever the coffee shop is, right? And I just got up and I'm making some coffee and some fans will come by and it's 10 o'clock in the morning.
And they're hot.
And yeah. And they're like, whoa. They're like, dude, are you excited for the show tonight? And I'm like, oh, God. And I'm like, do you want me to tell you the truth or do you want me to tell you what you want to hear? And
poor guys.
99% of the time, they'll say, I want the truth. And I'll be like, no, I'm not excited for the show tonight. I just woke up. I want some coffee, man.
I like when you get off the bus and your hair is everywhere and your eyes are glued
and you
shut.
have to take a poop.
And there's there are those fans who, God bless them, they're wonderful. They came early. They want to see you, and I'm excited to see them too. And I know you are too. But there's a time and a place.
Yeah.
And when you got to poop it's not a great time to have a long conversation.
I tell people that I'm going to poop on them if they won't let me go through. I'm going to poop on your shoe, and most of the time they'll move.
They'll move. They'll keep talking to you though.
I puked on some fans in Arizona one time
when you were drinking.
Well, no, I was actually like just so dehydrated. I went to a signing. I wasn't sober then yet, but I wasn't drunk. I wasn't drinking. I puked Gatorade all over these fans because I went to this signing and it was
so happy.
It was 107 degrees outside, and I'm like, I gotta give me a second in the middle of the signing. I was signing with my buddy Jamie from Hatebreed. And these fans are like, no, wait. And I'm like, dude, just give me a second. And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay. Threw up all over them. So, in answer to the original question, am I excited for the tour this summer? I will be excited about it when I go on it. But right now, no. No, I'm not. I will be very excited once it happens.
My wife says I get depressed before the tour. Again, I won't pull the suitcases out. I won't do anything until the last minute. It's like I don't want to leave, and then I get on the tour bus, and then I'm into it. Yeah, I'm like, yes.
That's the way it is. I don't.
When you have something other than just touring, it's hard to be excited about only doing that because you have other things. You have your whole life.
When I was 21 years old, if this had been asked like 5 months ago, I would have been just like running down the street, masturbating wildly with joy at the thought of this at this moment, like a year in advance. I'm like, I can't wait. I'm 46 now though, and I'm looking forward to dinner tonight. I'm glad that like I can make it through the day. I try not to think too far in
Keith
advance.
Richards documentary at the end, he's like, I'm just trying to survive.
Seriously, God bless. You know what I mean? It's like every day as you wake up, it's like, oh, I'm still here. Amazing.
Oh, what do you keep on your bus? Is there anything that you have to have?
For me, on the bus, I'll have, it's not really necessary. Coffee is absolutely necessary. Yeah. Coffee is the number one thing.
Coffee,
on the bus.
water. Do you have any kind of things like fruit, nuts, any of that kind of, everybody's got their thing. Like I have protein bars stashed in my bunk.
Well, there's
my bunk, man. I'm like a rat in there with cheese, but they're protein bars.
Well, our guitar
used to be
player,
whiskey bottles.
Yeah.
I lost my teeth.
Our guitar player Willie has gotten really into coffee, so he makes this espresso for himself in the morning, but he uses a hand grinder, not an electric one. He has to hand grind the beans, and he puts it in this thing, and he tamps it down, and he boils the water, and it's like this pressure, like no power espresso maker. It takes like 30 minutes to make one shot of espresso, right? And it makes one at a time, and he makes it for himself. And it takes up a whole drawer in the front lounge. All this crap, right?
You're like, look, man.
I'm like, dude, I'm trying to get to like make a pot of coffee, bro.
Mr. Coffee.
Yeah. Like, somewhere in that drawer, he started hiding protein bars. I noticed because some other people take it. And there is definitely on our bus before been some. Let's just say people in denial who are like, hiding liquor in their bunk. It's like it shouldn't sound like an ABC store when you're riding down the road. And
you hear the pills and the bottles and stuff.
Exactly. The pills shaking. Yeah, dude. It's like it's so bad.
The one thing nobody realizes is how hard it is to have sex in a tour bus bunk.
Oh my God.
Brutal.
You know Jen, right?
Yeah.
You do?
I do. One time.
On my bus?
No, not on yours.
It was my bus. Look at you getting all offended himself right
Well, I don't want to think about her in the bunk next to me knocking one out with a fan.
No, it was a long time ago. My ex-husband, their band had a bus.
I thought you were going to say just some band.
Just some
name
random,
the band.
yeah.
Come on, random band. Well,
No.
Lamb of God's going to be out there with Behemoth and Slayer, so you can always go out and get in one of their... Never mind.
No. But you know what? You guys have the advantage. You have the back lounge and you can go move around and everything. It must be so freeing to finally get to that point.
Back lounge. that's where like now, basically that's where I live because I don't drink. I don't smoke.
You have stuff like all laid out.
Yeah, I write.
Yep.
I read books. I don't watch television. So I don't want to watch America's Funniest Home Videos again. I don't want to watch Cops.
That's if the
again.
satellite works.
I don't want to watch
Judge
Family
Judy?
Guy again. I'd welcome some Judge Judy. I don't want to watch NASCAR
you know she's the
again.
most
I don't want to
high-paid
watch
person?
golf again.
She's the highest paid person in television, more than Oprah. Imagine
Judge
if we
Judy is?
did a
Yeah.
Judge Randy show.
Oh God,
We would be so rich. We'd have jets, bazillionaires.
But
What would our band be called? We need a band name.
Oh God, the
Idiots.
roving morons.
The idiots. Roving morons.
But the back lounge is where I chill. And also as a singer, I don't know how you are, right? So I'm not gonna try and like demean you because you're not a singer, right? But
I'm a bass player. We're down
but
there.
the people who do not sing, not all of them, but let's just say a certain member of our rhythm section who does not play bass thinks he's an Eskimo, right? So the tour bus is minus. It'll be winter and it's so cold.
Great on your voice.
It's horrifying. So I live in the back lounge now and I'm like, nope, no AC, and people are like, oh, you gotta have the air conditioner on. It keeps germs down. No, it doesn't.
I hate that argument.
When you get a cold, it's called a cold. Not you don't say I got a hot, right? Where do colds come from? They come from when it's cold. So that's why I live in the back lounge, the sobrarium, as I call
had
it.
2 background singers and my lead singer with this air conditioning argument. And I was freezing my nuts off.
Oh, your singers
we
like
had
it
3
cold?
singers on one bus.
They liked it cold?
Cold.
They are freaks of nature.
Yeah.
Most of us want it really warm.
Yeah.
Most of it's really
Good thing you
warm.
guys aren't in a band together. Just singers on a bus. You'd have the liberal singers and the conservative
Oh,
singers.
God. All of us with LSD, lead singer disease.
You don't
just
have
clashing.
LSD.
I keep it under control.
Yeah.
You got to have it to a certain degree.
Was it worse a long time ago?
What?
LSD?
Who, me? No. I'm a regular guy. I mean, I've definitely been a jerk more before when I was drinking, but that has nothing to do with being a singer. That just has to be with being a drunk jerk.
Now that you don't have that as a guilty pleasure, is there something else that you kind of go to? His is, Doritos? Cheetos. His is Cheetos.
Cheetos and Fresca, man.
Right. I mean,
And midnight?
I'll go on candy binges, and like I've tried to pull back from that so much because it's not that I'm worried about getting fat because I don't have the metabolism, but it'll just screw your teeth up, And my wife, she has enabled me before. I think just because she's so happy that I don't drink or do drugs
she
anymore, that
enables me.
she'll get some candy for me. She's like, honey, I got you this, like a giant box of the puffy mints at Christmas. The peppermints,
Yes.
the puffy ones, not the
white
hard
ones?
I'll eat that
Yeah.
whole thing.
Oh, God.
I don't eat just one.
No.
If
I
you give me
can't.
one, I'll eat one. If you give me 2, I'll eat 2.
Yeah.
Don't give me a box.
It's more. I always need more. I will eat
You know
all
what
of it.
what are those things I get? The peppermint
Bark.
bars?
The bark?
Yeah, peppermint bark. You ever had
Mhm.
that?
Oh, yeah.
We had 4 boxes during the holidays.
Gone.
My wife came in. She goes, "Hey, do you know where that is?" And I went,
You look like a guilty kid right
she
there.
goes, you ate all 4 boxes? And I went, yeah. I mean, it's a sickness, I did the same thing with alcohol and drugs. I did them all.
Yeah. And well, you know what? I got to say, man, I was really impressed when we were in Germany last time and you resisted buying the M10 right away. I was like, that's self-control. Because I thought about it too,
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I'm not going to do it. We went and got flown to Germany to play with
I know. I thought he was going to come back with one. I was so excited to see it.
I told him not to do it.
He did.
Oh, thanks a lot.
He did. And I'm really glad.
Really?
Yeah.
Restrained.
Because I ended up buying an M7 instead.
Yeah.
So I got a film camera.
Yeah.
And then I got my digitals. So I like that. But it's the same thing. I get obsessed about lenses and guitars and basses and everything. I also throw that obsession into my love life, romance. I love it as long as it's not hurting anybody,
Right.
and I'm not making too many crazy decisions, like buying that M10 camera in Germany.
Right.
Yeah.
My big thing that guilty sort of thing, when I stopped drinking and stuff, that I started replacing the alcohol and the drugs with was, and this is going to sound really nerdy, is books, right?
Mm-hmm. How many do you have in your house?
Way too many.
I mean, like
thousands.
like a room full?
I have a shed full.
Okay.
Like, it went overboard.
A shed. I love it.
Was your wife like, please take this outside?
No, it's
Okay.
it's like I built the shed purposely so that I could have the man room and sit out there by myself
I love that.
and like be with my books. And originally I had the shed built when I was still partying, right? And I was like, I need to go out and write lyrics, but really all I was doing was eating Roxasets and nodding off while listening to Black Sabbath or whatever. You know what I mean? I need to create, But now it just has way too many books in it. Way too many.
Can you read on an iPad?
It's problematic.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
I know. I have a Kindle Paperwhite, which is close to like paper. It looks like it, but the tactile sensation is not there. It's not easy to go back and refer to different things. Like I just interviewed him for this magazine Unbuilt I'm a part of about his photography, and for the interview I wanted to do some touching up on some questions I wanted to ask him, so I reread This Is Gonna Hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was out. I wasn't at home. I was at a different place. I was like, oh, my copy of This Is Gonna Hurt is back at my house. I'm like, I could get a digital one. I'm like, no, that's not right. I can't do it. So I bought another one. So I have 2 copies of that because I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do it. It doesn't work.
Well, those kind of books too, when there's graphics or photos, it's a different experience.
Yeah.
On digital. Sixx Sense, Nikki Sixx, Jen, Randy Blythe hanging out with us. Lamb of God, and many other things. Great photographer, great writer. And I've also seen, that you're an actor, but you say you're not very good at it.
No.
Probably the only thing that I believe maybe you wouldn't be good at.
Well, I thought I would be a natural at acting, I thought as long as you could learn some lines and just go out and say them convincingly, it would be easy. It's not. Have you ever acted?
Even little bits in videos, as soon as they're like, okay, pretend you're angry, like I just blow it. I'm too, I don't know, I can't get out of my own way.
Right. Well, the first movie I was in was it was a horror movie called The Graves that my friend Brian Polito wrote. He is a writer, and I played this sort of psychotic deacon to you know who the actor Tony Todd is?
Yeah,
He's the Candyman, large black gentleman who's been in a lot of horror movies. I was kind of his henchman, right? And like I'm like this evil henchman guy and a violent freak weirdo kind of guy, and I was like, that'll be pretty easy for me, right? And because I've definitely been that guy, so they were starting to shoot, and like when you say a line, I guess I'm a very expressive person. My wife will, she'll say, "Stop doing that with your face," sometimes because I'm too expressive. On camera, that doesn't translate well. Everything has to be pulled back and understated. So, so it looks like you're on stage. Yeah, we're used to being on stage,
and you have to be big. Your face, your arms, because 10 rows back, they got to feel that energy on camera. It doesn't work.
Yeah, like when I'm playing a show with Lamb of God, and I look at someone, and sometimes I'll make contact with them. I want them to feel that energy. And that's not necessarily a positive energy either, you know. It's when I want them to feel something, and I can do that, you know, with stage presence. And it's this projection, this almost larger than life thing. When you're filming, you have to really dial that back. And since I'm basically, you know, a living cartoon, it's hard for me to like dial back the weird aspects of my nature.
So do you think your acting days are over?
No.
All right.
No way. That's no fun.
You have to dial him back or write the right character.
Yeah, or learn how to do it better. You know, I did have a lot of fun. I haven't seen this movie yet. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Taiwanese black metal band. They're called Phonic.
Yes,
they're
I gave them an award in the UK.
Yeah, well,
they're like massive award, and I had never heard of them.
They're
at that point.
great. Their singer Freddie, by the way, now is a senator in Taiwan.
That's right.
Good. I'm so proud of him. But they made this. They're huge in Taiwan, right? Huge, not like, you know, like my band, huge, like huge, like Motley Crue, huge. You know?
Yeah, they're bigger.
Not like my band, huge.
No,
They're
but
like
bigger
They're
than Motley. Huge.
Yeah, they're like big in Taiwan because it's a small place. And, you know, so they're huge. So they got this huge. They're making this movie, and they sent me this email, and they're like, well, first of all, they sent me an email a few years ago, and they're like, Randy, would you like to come and sing a song with us in an ancient Buddhist temple in the mountains of Taiwan? And you can bring your wife, and then you can go on vacation for 2 weeks, and we'll fly you out and pay you to do it. And I'm like, yes, I would. Yes, I would.
Jen, who's pining to travel, you see her face?
Yeah. So they flew us to Taiwan, me and my wife, and then we played this show at this historic temple in the mountains of Taiwan, and they filmed it for a DVD. It's called The Battle of Singling Temple. You can see it. It's beautiful. So then, you know, a few years later, they email in. They're like, Randy, we're making a sort of political action kung fu comedy movie. Do you want to come and be like an action hero in a movie? And I'm like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. So they flew me to Taiwan, and I got to play a version of myself in this movie, which I don't know the title of it in English because it doesn't have an English title yet, but it's this weird political kung fu comedy movie.
So wait a minute, is it any of it in English?
Yes, I spoke lines in English, Taiwanese, Mandarin, and Japanese.
How hard? Very
hard to keep like up. You know, I mean, it was cool. I got beat up by the cops. There was a riot scene. Like, it was crazy, man. I convinced the director to write in a surfing scene because the head star of the movie, the head guy, is this guy who's like, he's like the host of The Voice Taiwan or whatever. Okay. You know what I mean? He's this super big star in Taiwan. Like, wherever we went, Taiwanese women were just like melting, like, you know, they saw him. But he is a surfer too. And I'm like, we convinced the director to write in a surfing part of the movie. So I got to go surfing in Taiwan. I don't know if that'll make it in the movie. I hope it does.
It doesn't matter. You got to go surfing in Taiwan.
I got to go surfing in Taiwan.
Yeah, the Taiwanese.
He's rad
star
dude.
of The Voice.
Yeah, and I got to I got to run from the cops. I got to be in a riot scene.
Did you get blood? Was there any blood when they got beat you up?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. I'll show you some pictures later, man. I got my butt kicked. They were like 15 cops beating me with these batons, you know. I got to run and jump and do all this cool stuff, you know. And there were comedy bits where I locked a cop in a bathroom stall. It was really funny, you know. So
awesome.
Hopefully when that gets released, you know.
What if you become a huge star over there?
That's what I'm hoping
massive.
For. It's like big in Japan.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Marty Friedman from Megadeth. Like, you know,
yeah.
He's a god in Japan.
Yeah. There are these bands that are.
I know. I love it.
David Hasselhoff in Germany.
In Germany.
Like, what?
Yeah. Massive.
Stadiums.
But then his last pre-sales for his last London show, they canceled the rest of poor Hasselhoff. Shout out to the Hoff. The last he was touring, he was doing this Euro tour, right? And like it's selling out Germany, selling out Austria, and then the rest of the tour got canceled. And I'm like, why? And the pre-sales,
like two ticket sales.
Dude, the pre-sales for London. Guess how many pre-sales he had in London?
Where was he playing? Like Wembley or something?
Something big. And
okay.
Guess how many?
I'm going to say 712.
Four.
They canceled that
pre-sales.
tour.
4 pre-sales.
And you're like,
dude, you and I could make
Germany.
a band and not announce it and sell like at least 100 tickets by accident. You know, like anyone could. He could
have just taken his shirt off and got up to 8.
Yes. Have you ever seen the cover of the Hasselhoff Christmas album?
No.
No, but I love that you have.
He's lurking in the window next to the Christmas tree, holding a candle, looking like just like a peeping Tom. It's so creepy. He's huge in Germany. Germany's like weird, kinky sex. Yeah. Have you ever like punished a German woman about their Hasselhoff?
No.
Like, oh yeah. I love it. You meet young German girls. You think Hasselhoff's sexy, don't you? No, I do not know. Yes, you do.
No, I do not know.
Yeah, and then eventually they'll break. Like, okay,
I have a German
maybe,
that works for me. I always go, hello, how are you? She's like, that's not funny.
That's not funny. That is not funny.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us, bud. It's been great.
Nikki Sixx and Jen on the Sixx Sense.